US soldier falls out of a chopper.
Al-Qaeda had grabbed him, moved into a shadowy area, never to be seen again.
His colleagues go back to save him.
Getting shot at, shooting at somebody, 500-pounders danger close, friends getting shot, friends getting killed, getting shot yourself. If you sat down and wrote a list of experiences in combat, you could fit them all into that day.
This is the inside story of the US Army's single bloodiest firefight in the Afghan War. – 2002, Afghanistan, Shaikat Valley. 6 months after 9/11, the US military is looking for Osama bin Laden. He managed to escape 4 months ago, amid a battle between his jihadist fighters and Western forces, 110 kilometers away in Tora Bora. Al-Qaeda are still holding out in the mountains of southeast Afghanistan. Now, in a last push to crush the enemy, the US military at Bagram Air Base launches Operation Anaconda. The Americans plan to use precision airstrikes. This will allow ground troops to surge through the valley and wipe out the enemy. But in such vast hostile terrain, the Air Force needs accurate intelligence to pinpoint Al-Qaeda fighters. The task of supplying this intelligence falls to one elite team. 4th of March, 2002. 1:43 a.m. 7 Navy SEALs, America's elite sea, air and land special forces, are on a mission to establish an observation post on a 3,000-meter high ridge called Taqa Gar. From here, the SEALs will be able to spot Al-Qaeda fighters on the move and provide exact coordinates for airstrikes. In the back of the Chinook helicopter, Petty Officer Neil Roberts readies himself. A 12-year SEAL veteran, Roberts is one of the most experienced and reliable members of the team. The plan is for the helicopter to land them at a safe distance from the peak of Taqa Gar. In the snow, under cover of darkness, the SEALs will make a 4-hour hike up to the summit. But before the SEALs are dropped onto the slopes of Taqa Gar, the area must be checked for signs of the enemy. An AC-130 gunship sweeps the mountain. Using infrared heat sensors, it can identify signs of life from an altitude of more than 7 kilometers. They believe there may be as many as 200 fighters in the region. The sensors show nothing. They report that Taqa Gar is clear. The Americans don't know that their cutting-edge technology has been outfoxed by basic cunning. High on the ridge, the Al-Qaeda units are dug deep in snow-covered caves. The rock masks the heat from their bodies so that it cannot be detected by infrared. The overall force in the valley numbers around 400, far stronger than the Americans realize. They are sending a team of 7 Navy SEALs straight into the arms of the enemy. The SEALs finally get their clearance to land. At the last minute, the onboard squad leader changes the plan. Assured that the target is clear, he orders the chopper to land them directly onto the summit of Taqa Gar. Al-Qaeda fighters hear the rotor blades of a large helicopter approaching. They are heavily armed with AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenade launchers. A single rocket can blast a chopper out of the sky from a range of 300 meters. The American chopper is already 200 meters away and closing. The pilots are convinced they have a clear run to the summit. The men prepare to leap from the open door of the craft once it lands. The pilots prepare to set down. Suddenly, they spot figures on the peak. The pilots attempt to abort the landing. But it's too late. A rocket-propelled grenade rips into the chopper's fuselage. They lose power. The guns are dead. The chopper is a sitting duck. Evasive action is their only option. The pilots bank. Roberts is knocked off his feet. A colleague grabs him. The Chinook tilts in the air. Roberts hits the ground. The pilots fight for control. They manage to steer the stricken chopper away from the enemy. It crash lands 7 kilometers away. Roberts is stranded on the mountain, alone and with just a light machine gun. Al-Qaeda are closing in for the kill. For an elite squad of US Navy SEALs, a nighttime mission in southeast Afghanistan is going disastrously wrong. 6 SEALs and their aircrew have crash-landed in a remote mountain valley. When they take a head count, their worst fears are confirmed.
What's up?
Petty Officer Neil Roberts is missing. They must rescue him. But the SEALs soon realize that they are 7 kilometers from their original target. In these conditions, it will take them hours to hike back up the mountain. Roberts is alone on the ridge. At 3,000 meters altitude, in ice cold and in the dark, he is surrounded by enemy fighters. He's out of radio range. But Roberts knows his comrades will come back for him. Until they do, he must find safe ground. Roberts' colleagues have been picked up by another Chinook and are on their way back to Qaeda. Their only mission now is to save their comrade.
Part of the warrior ethos is to never leave a fallen comrade. So there was never a question about us going back in to find him and to try to get him, alive or dead.
On Qaeda, Roberts has been pinned down by enemy fire for almost 2 hours. All he has to do is to hold out long enough for rescue. Then, his situation gets worse. He's shot in the right leg. 2 kilometers above Qaeda, an unmanned Predator surveillance drone comes into position. The Predator is controlled remotely via satellite by a US ground control station, 1,500 kilometers away in Oman, on the Arabian Peninsula. From there, live images from the Afghan mountaintop are relayed to military chiefs in America and to the Bagram Air Base, 180 kilometers north of Takagar. The SEALs are tense as they approach. They are here to save Roberts.
We knew quite clearly that we were not going to have operational surprise, and that means that we knew the bad guys were aware that we were going to come.
The pilot steers the Chinook onto the ridge. When it immediately comes under fire. Touchdown. 6 of Roberts' colleagues launch into battle. An intense firefight erupts. The SEALs are immediately pinned down by a barrage of machine gun fire. The battle rages on the ridge. Technical Sergeant John Chapman kills 2 Al-Qaeda fighters. Then, he's hit. He dies where he falls. Al-Qaeda hold the high ground, and their gun of choice. The Russian-made 50 caliber Dushka machine gun holds 12.7mm heavy rounds. The gun's power and range is devastating. Each round is capable of penetrating inch-thick armor plate at 500 meters. The SEALs are packing M4 light assault rifles. Against the destructive power of the Dushka, they are simply no match.
The odds were going to be a little bit different than we had initially planned for. You couldn't see the Al-Qaeda forces. You could just see the rounds, the flashes of the shooting that was going on. But you could see that it was a tough fight.
2 more Americans are hit. Outgunned and severely outnumbered, the SEALs are in deep trouble. They retreat. There's no sign of their fallen colleague, Roberts. Roberts has been killed. General Hagenbeck witnessed his execution via the satellite surveillance images.
It was gut-wrenching to see Al-Qaeda had grabbed him. We saw them move into a shadowy area, never to be seen again.
The SEALs don't know that Roberts is already dead. They are out of radio contact with their US base. Their helicopter has been damaged and returned to base. The SEALs are now fighting for their own survival. The rescuers need to be rescued. A US AC-130 gunship strafes the mountain ridge. The gunship halts the enemy gunfire. But the AC-130s are large and slow-moving. They rarely fly in daylight because they are vulnerable to enemy fire. This is not a rescue. The gunship is ordered back to base. The 5 remaining SEALs immediately come under fire again. The ridge is being held by Al-Qaeda. The SEALs team is forced to retreat. Their helicopter has returned to base. Their crash Chinook is 7 kilometers away. And Bagram Air Base is 180 kilometers north. There is only one unit who can save them now: the Army Rangers. A quick reaction force are on 24-hour standby. They specialize in behind-the-lines evacuation and reinforcement missions. Ranger Oscar Escano is on constant battle readiness.
It's very much like the 911 system. As a quick reaction force, you don't have the benefit of being able to plan things out. Pretty much just get called, and you get told that something has gone horribly wrong.
Captain Nate Self commands the platoon of Rangers.
I was in the Joint Operations Center, just listening to the radios, and I was finishing up a mission plan. I recognized the call sign as being one of our aircraft that was down.
Within 15 minutes, 2 Chinook helicopters are spinning up.
We were scrambling as fast as we could to get a rescue operation underway.
Captain Self leads 10 Rangers in the first helicopter, Razor 1. They are mobilizing so quickly, they will receive their orders on the way. Oscar Escano is on the second Chinook, Razor 2. The Rangers are now a 20-strong force, heading to Takagar.
There was definitely a buzz in the air. You could feel it, you could see it on everybody's face.
During the flight, Captain Self gets reports of a crashed helicopter, a man down, and an ambushed SEAL team. It's all they have to go on.
As we approached the mountain, I could see out the back of the helicopter, the valley and the mountains around. And I was really humbled knowing that people had been fighting there.
Captain Self starts looking for the SEALs team on the ground.
As we neared the mountain, I expected a location that was really hostile. I didn't know if we were going to be shot at or not, but I told the guys to be prepared.
Self knows their Chinook presents an easy target in daylight. What he doesn't know is they are heading for exactly the same ridge where 2 Chinooks have already been ambushed. For the third time in 3 hours, Al-Qaeda fighters on Takagar prepare for battle. Ranger Oscar Escano is on the second Quick Reaction Force Chinook, Razor 2. They are still awaiting orders.
We didn't know what was going on. We just kind of sat there for, I don't really know how long. It felt like forever.
HQ orders them to fly to a safe area, away from Takagar, and to await orders. The other men on the first Quick Reaction Force Razor 1 are ordered to continue on their own. They've got their medic, Corey Lamoureux, on board. He was due to return home, but volunteered to stay on for this one operation. Next to him is Right minigunner Phil Svitak.
It was electric, for sure. We knew we were going, we just didn't really know what we were going to do.
The cover of darkness is gone.
As we come around to land, basically just got our ass handed to us.
Move back!
A burst of machine gun fire rips through the chopper. Svitak, the gunner next to Corey, is shot. Both pilots are wounded.
They just fired us up. I mean, there was just gunfire everywhere. You see the effects of it, but you can't hear it.
Every bullet that came through the aircraft just ripped through. The aircraft just started getting hammered.
I received 3 bullets into my helmet that didn't actually penetrate.
The guns shred the right engine's turbine blades. The 27-ton Chinook falters.
I heard that engine whine, and I just broke into a cold sweat.
Then, an RPG hits the Rangers' aircraft.
The aircraft was just shoved in the air to the side and then just fell out from under us.
The Chinook crashes into the snow just 73 meters from the Al-Qaeda camp. Lamoureux turns to his fallen colleague.
I heard, people yelling and screaming that were hurt.
Hang in there, buddy.
But Spytak is already dead.
He didn't have a carotid pulse when I went back, and so I had, went on to the next guy.
Like the SEALs before them, the Rangers' rescue mission is turning into a fight for survival. Al-Qaeda continue to unload a barrage of fire. The Rangers are sitting ducks. Nate Self falls as he runs out of the helicopter. 2 Rangers are shot, exiting the chopper.
I knew that they were dead, and it registered with me for a second. The enemy's gunfire really brought me back to the here and now.
Self attempts to return fire, but his gun jams, and he is forced to take one from a dead comrade.
We were in such a bad place. There was no cover. The only cover was provided by our own gunfire.
As the battle rages, Al-Qaeda fighters shoot 3 more Americans. More than 45 meters down the mountain, a separate battle is taking place. The Navy SEALs who came back for Neil Roberts are under enemy fire and in need of rescue. 2 of the men are badly wounded. At Bagram Air Base, General Hagenbeck watches live pictures from the battlefield.
About everything that could go haywire occurred. And they were literally in the fight for their life from the moment the wheels touched down.
On Takagar, medic Corey Lamoureux and his patients take cover in the downed Chinook. 4 men are dead, 3 are wounded. One of the pilot's hands has been almost severed.
He was pumping blood probably 6 feet in the air, just like the movies. And he was holding his wrist and screaming. And I go to turn on the vital signs monitor, and the screen had 3 bullet holes in it.
Ranger Captain Nate Self must take his men out of the open ground. An Al-Qaeda fighter fires another RPG at the men.
When I saw the RPG coming at me, for a split second I was just waiting for the pain to set in.
Self is hit, but the snow diminishes the shrapnel damage.
That hurts, but I can deal with it.
Captain Self makes it to the shelter of rock outcrops. The enemy are in fortified bunkers higher up the ridge, with commanding views.
The gun battle was all one-sided. The enemy was just unloading a ton of ammunition on us.
Al-Qaeda have already shot down 2 American helicopters. They have strategic advantage on the ground. The stranded Rangers must start calling their own shots.
I need air support.
Ranger Captain Self calls in nearby air support. 2 F-15 jet fighters appear on the horizon. Each aircraft is equipped with a 20mm multi-barreled machine gun and massive 500-pound bombs. The Rangers are too close to the enemy's bunkers for bombs. They too would be in the line of fire.
Give me guns! Give me guns!
Self calls in the guns. The pilot flies a dry run. The F-15 fires a barrage of rounds into the peak. The pilot makes another pass. The second F-15 does a run, firing into the enemy bunker. But Al-Qaeda fighters continue to return fire. The airstrikes have had little effect.
They had dug into the rock over time, and they were pretty much protected from almost any kind of air ordnance.
There was no way out of the situation but to do something. If I sat there, then everyone would die.
Al-Qaeda are inflicting a humiliating blow on one of the world's most sophisticated military forces. This is situation critical. 20 Army Rangers from the Quick Reaction Force are sent in to rescue a Special Operations SEAL team stranded on an Afghan mountain. Like the SEALs before them, they are ambushed by Al-Qaeda.
They built fighting positions. They were living there on top of a mountain. They were expecting a fight.
Al-Qaeda are creating chaos in the American forces.
The team wasn't really operating as a team. I really expected more people to get off the aircraft. I kept thinking, where's the rest of the people that should have been behind me?
Only 6 combat-able Rangers are left to fight. Nearly 30 kilometers away,
We got the green light, we're ready to go.
Ranger Oscar Escano and the rest of the 2nd Quick Reaction Force, held back as reinforcements, are cleared to fly to the mountain. It has been almost an hour since his comrades on the 1st Quick Reaction Force were ambushed on Takagar. He hears reports of an intense gun battle.
I was in denial when I heard these initial pieces of bad news. I also had to shift mentally from curiosity and speculation to readiness, because the fact was, we were on our way.
Escano prepares for the landing in a personal way.
I took out a permanent marker and I just wrote, "God bless the USA," on the back of my hand. And then on my other hand, I just wrote the date of 9/11, just to remind myself why we were there.
His 2nd Quick Reaction Force will land safely away from the enemy at the summit. Their task is to rescue members of the 1st Quick Reaction Force, pinned down by Al-Qaeda fighters on the peak. The team of SEALs are still stranded and under heavy fire. What started as a reconnaissance mission is now a desperate battle to save lives. When the 2nd Quick Reaction Force land, 610 meters down the mountain, they are immediately confused by the terrain.
Silence just kind of covered everything.
They struggle up the mountainside, deep in snow, weighed down with weapons and armor.
And the silence was broken relatively soon by gunshots. So that directed my attention up, and I looked at the mountaintop, and it was really far away.
It will take hours to reach the other Rangers, who are pinned down in the snow on the peak of Takagar, and whose situation has just got worse. They're under heavy mortar fire.
That shifted my gears mentally. We needed to do something quickly.
Captain Self calls in air support again. This time, they will bomb the enemy. The first pilot flies a dry run. He is then cleared for a strike. Moving at 300 meters per second, the F-16 launches a 500-pound bomb. If it hits, it will wipe out the Al-Qaeda camp. It misses. On his next run, the pilot drops another between 2 Al-Qaeda positions. All the F-16's bombs have missed. Al-Qaeda continue to fight. Further down the mountain, Oscar Ascano and the rest of the reinforcements struggle in the snow and thin air.
I was shocked. After only about 20 paces, I was already smoked. And I was irritated with myself.
To lighten his load, he removes his rear Kevlar armor plates, each weighing 3 kilograms.
I felt safer being able to have my maneuverability than being a sitting duck with armor plates.
The reinforcements move more quickly up the ridge. They are suddenly blasted with enemy mortars.
You can't really evade a mortar attack, especially not in the position that we were on. We were on a ridgeline that was so narrow. At some points, there were just sheer drop-offs on either side.
Everyone all right? Everyone okay? Good.
They are easy targets.
I knew I didn't want to die, but I accepted that I might. If one of us gets hit, that could really mean the end of the mission and the end of all of us.
On Takagar, the first quick reaction team still takes cover. Corey Lamoureux and the other medic are still in the stricken Chinook, trying to keep the 3 surviving wounded stable.
I made a very conscious decision, knowing that the aircraft was a very large target, opting to keep myself, Jason, and our 3 patients on the aircraft, thinking that, at the time, that was our best chance of their survival.
They are still dangerously exposed, and medical supplies are running low. Throughout the battle, the Rangers have been receiving radio communications from the Predator drone overhead. Captain Nate Self then makes an unprecedented move. He contacts the Predator's radio operator to check if it is armed. The unmanned aerial vehicle has only ever been used for surveillance. It has never fired weapons in battle before. The Predator drone carries 2 laser-guided Hellfire 100-pound missiles, each one capable of picking out a single moving target on the ground. One of the missiles scores a direct hit on the enemy bunker. But the mortar attacks keep coming.
I felt like the situation was so bad that if I didn't do something, that no one would come home.
There are just 6 able Rangers. The rest of the men are either wounded or treating the wounded. There is only 50 meters of no man's land between them and the enemy. With airstrikes failing, Al-Qaeda's basic equipment is beating America's high-tech firepower. Self has nothing left to lose. He makes a massive decision. He and his men will assault the enemy bunker and go face-to-face with Al-Qaeda.
I just looked at the guys left and right of me. Once they all gave me a nod, I said, let's go.
The Rangers launch themselves up the slope.
As we assaulted with the 4 of us, I don't think any of us were afraid. About halfway to the enemy positions, I saw an enemy fighter stick his head out with a machine gun and start firing down at us.
The Dushka 50 caliber heavy machine gun unleashes its devastating power once more.
I felt that this had changed the game, that a machine gun was too much for 4 of us to take.
They are forced to retreat, It is completely demoralizing for the men.
It was embarrassing as a leader of such great warriors to stop and retrack. As Americans, we don't necessarily train the defense. We always assume that we'll be on the offensive.
At Bagram Air Base, General Hagenbeck follows the troubled rescue mission.
Anxiety, obviously, throughout that headquarters was rising as time went on. In this ice cold, at altitude.
The Rangers have been fighting for 4 hours. Captain Self's team are facing defeat.
Yeah, I was in a really troubled state of mind. I mean, there was no clear answer. There was no clear path out of the situation.
The second team of Rangers have been scaling the mountain for 2.5 hours and are exhausted. Finally, they join the other Rangers. Oscar Escano is briefed on the enemy positions.
The odds were really stacked against us. We are our own reinforcements. If we encounter more resistance than we expected, we just have to fight harder.
We're taking heavy fire.
Oscar gives his team only a minute to get their breath back, because Self's team is under threat. What started as a rescue mission has turned into a life-or-death battle for control of the ridge. 2 Chinooks have been shot down, airstrikes have failed, and the Army Rangers' Quick Reaction Force have been beaten back by Al-Qaeda. Captain Self knows that their only hope of survival is to take the bunker, but they have already failed once.
We put together a very simple plan. The plan was, we shoot and you move.
Just before we set out on the assault, the enemy was quiet. We didn't see the enemy. We had no idea what the enemy was doing.
Everyone that could stand up just stood up and began to shoot.
A 14-man Ranger force assaults the camp.
The assault began with just a massive amount of firepower.
We were fanning across a completely open area with nothing in between us and the enemy. Not even a rock or a fallen tree stump. There was nothing.
The first gun position is taken. The Dushka's heavy fire is finally silenced, and the main bunker is just yards away.
There were dead bodies everywhere.
One of them I remember. Here's a man, just like one of us. How do I justify his death at our hands?
As they search the bunkers, they find the man they came for. Buried under debris is Neil Roberts' body. A few meters away, they find Roberts' dropped equipment.
Every instance of using force was clearly justified because the enemy had every advantage, every tactical advantage, and we were really fighting for our lives.
But Ranger Captain Self knows the battle is not yet over. Further down the mountain, the men they came to save, a team of Navy SEALs, are still battling.
We were right in the middle of the enemy's terrain. I was wondering, will we be able to hold out? What's the enemy going to do next? Do we have enough time for this?
They must secure the ridge. Medic Corey Lamoureux is convinced the area has been secured. He prepares for an evacuation by moving the wounded outside the helicopter.
few bullets landed right in front of me and kicked up snow on top of me.
It is a...
Thinking to myself, oh, this is really gonna suck.
Before he can react, he takes several bullets to his body.
I had never been shot before. The pain was intense. I rolled over into the fetal position. You know, all these thoughts are going through my head, you know. Whether I was actually paralyzed, I'm not sure.
His fellow medic, Jason Cunningham, is also hit. He is slipping away.
He's losing blood, and we needed to get to him quickly.
Once again, the Rangers are in desperate trouble. The Americans have stirred up a hornet's nest. US observation points in the valley see more groups of Al-Qaeda fighters moving around the mountain. Al-Qaeda are outmaneuvering the Americans.
The enemy's tactics were impressive.
By that point in the mission, we had been essentially ambushed twice.
Just when the Rangers think the hard-won battle is over, Al-Qaeda launch a devastating counterattack. The critical situation
I need it now!
just got worse. An American Chinook is shot down on a remote mountain ridge in Afghanistan. The enemy camp is taken, but Al-Qaeda launch a devastating counterattack. Medic Corey Lamoureux knows his chances of survival are slim.
It's a flip of the coin. You either have significant internal bleeding or you don't. My first thought was that this is really gonna suck for my kids because I knew I was gonna die.
Ranger Captain Nate Self calls in air support again. This time, the well-aimed bombs nullify the counterattack from the valley. The enemy fire stops immediately. But for how long?
I need a helicopter to evacuate the wounded.
The mountainous ridge of Takagar is littered with dead and wounded American soldiers. They need immediate rescue and urgent medical attention. But with 2 Chinooks downed on the mission already, would commanders risk sending in more in broad daylight?
Were we going to risk another helicopter getting shot down and have to mount another rescue operation?
We're gonna lose people! I need it now!
It was a difficult decision, and the rationale was quite clear. Look, we'd already had a bunch of them shot down. How many more are you going to fly into the same location?
The order is to wait until nightfall, 6 hours away.
I was frustrated in the lack of medevac. I felt like we had controlled the situation enough.
Corey Lamoureux, injured himself, has an impossible task. He has few medical supplies. His medic partner, Cunningham, is the most severely injured soldier. The team do what they can to keep Cunningham and the casualties stable. Until the men can be evacuated for surgery, one of their most pressing needs is to remain warm. It is bitterly cold, and in the late afternoon the temperature is dropping fast. Throughout the day, American bombers keep the enemy at bay. At 6 p.m., the wind picks up and the temperature drops. Jason Cunningham has been struggling to hold on for over 6 hours.
We called out to him, we called out to Cunningham. We said, don't leave us, you know, hang in there. Come on, come back, come back.
Cunningham's comrades watch on helplessly.
It was hard on all of us when he died.
I felt a large load of responsibility that it was my inadequacy to convince the decision makers that we could get him out. That part of it was partly my fault.
Just before 8:15 p.m., 17 hours after the first shot was fired, commanding officers at Bagram finally give orders for the evacuation. The wounded are taken off in the first Chinook. A second takes Captain Self and the dead, including SEAL Neil Roberts. Captain Self reflects on the mistakes of the mission. Why weren't the enemy picked up by the original surveillance?
To rely on technology when you think it's going to provide advantage and it doesn't is actually a disadvantage. What won the fight for us that day was our ability to move and shoot better than them. And that's pretty simple.
Named after the Navy SEAL who fell out of the chopper, the 17-hour ordeal becomes known as the Battle of Roberts Ridge. Days later, the Americans went back and secured the mountain.
Roberts Ridge turned out to be a success, although we had 8 individuals killed before it was all said and done. It was an extraordinary feat of heroism on the part of these rescuers to do what they did.
It's the single bloodiest engagement for US forces in the Afghan war.
Everything in a 14-hour span, you know, getting shot at, shooting at somebody, you know, 500-pounders danger close, mortars landing in your position, friends getting shot, friends getting killed, getting shot yourself. I mean, if you sat down and wrote a list of experiences in combat, I think you could fit them all into that day.
To be successful, you had to meet an objective. And so if the objective was to insert on the mountain and use the mountain for a tactical gain throughout the rest of the fight, then no, it wasn't. If success was getting as many people home as we could, given the hand that we were dealt, then it was successful.